Alrighty guys, I want to do, it's cold outside, Sunday, had a great day in church today, and it's barely in, I don't know, the 30s or the 40s. Actually, we had the fireplace going, was burning some debris, some trash, papers, cardboard boxes, and stuff like that, and I thought it'd be a good time to do a video on my reloading. So I want to just start. I bought mostly Hornady stuff. There's better. I think Redding's probably better. Dillon, RCBS, all good brands. But it really comes down to you and your attention to detail. I'm not loading for professional shooting matches, though I do want precision rounds for shooting long range. And for me, long range is anything out past, I don't know, 700 yards, 700 to like 1,200. Anything beyond 1,200 yards is extreme long range to me. There's other people that shoot a mile, 2 miles, 1,600 yards and beyond. That's phenomenal. I don't know that I've got the equipment with the ballistics capabilities to do that, but I remember when I grew up hunting in Wisconsin, and this is really a shout out to all my Wisconsin friends and family that are deer hunting. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, and so that means deer hunting rifle season opened up yesterday, Saturday, I believe it was. And my brother Davey texted me, and he's out there hunting, and somebody got one of the big bucks he had on camera, but I'm believing he'll get something. It's been my observation that when I have big elk or deer on film on my trail cameras, when the hunt starts, I tend to see animals I never even got on camera, simply because the hunting pressure from the other areas pushes everything into the areas that I hunt, and I'm hoping for that. So good luck, if you will. I don't believe in luck, but it's just a phrase that people throw out there. But I pray everybody's blessed out there and can put meat in the freezer during this season. Everybody's safe and nobody gets hurt, lost, or worse. So with that, it's reloading time, and in honor of all the hunting going on, I'm going to go through some reloading stuff. So first thing I do, I go out and I shoot boom, 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 boom. Lots of rounds. And then I bring them in, and I run them through this tumbler. And what it is just a tub. Let me fix it for it. It's a tub made by Hornady that has a bunch of just walnut pieces in it, crushed walnut, and you put your brass in there, your spent cases, and you turn it on, and what it does, if you can see that, is it takes and it sucks the brass down, kind of just like regurgitates it, if you will, and cleans it all up nice and shiny and gets it back to shiny. And you add something like this One Shot from Hornady. It's just polished, a metal polish, and you just put about a teaspoon or two in there and let that kind of mix in, then put your brass in, and it cleans it up nice and shiny. Hornady gives you this nice little filter basket that you just put on, and then you pick the whole thing up and dump it out, and all that walnut media is sifted out, and all you have left is the brass. And then you do have to clean the some of that out. It gets locked up in the brass. But once you've got the brass clean, we're going to come in here to the reloading room, and we're going to go through some of the next steps. And I'm not going to do a step-by-step, but it is going to be a step-by-step. I'm not going to show you everything. I've got stuff set up for you to make this video painless. The next thing I want to do is I've got to bring my clean brass in, and I use this to deep prime. It's by a company called Frankfurt Arsenal. I do not like to deep prime my stuff in my presses and get all that powder and debris and everything. So I just buy this, and it comes with a couple different size plastic inserts that you put in depending on the caliber you use, and anything from like 22 up to the big 45 calibers, I believe. But you put your brass in, and it fits down in there, and you close this up and you squeeze the trigger, and what happens is the spent primer gets caught in here, and you're left with a deep-primed shell. And then you take your deep-primed shell, and I put them in these racks, and then from there I take, once I get them all deep cleaned and then deep-primed, I bring them over here to my press. Let me move this over a little closer for you. Okay, and I put the shell in there, and I run it up, and I size it. And this is the sizing die, and it's just in there loose right now, but it resizes the case, and I bump my shoulder back 1,000. Before I do that, I have to put the casings on a little tray and spray them with some lube so they don't get stuck up in there. And I just made this tray. You can buy these. They're only like $6, but I made this for free. Put some carbon arrow shafts there so that my stuff, I want everything kind of laying down so I can get it and move them around. I've got different sizes. I won't ever put it there because I want to get oil in the neck, but I can shoot the smaller calibers there, bigger here. Spray them down, let it set. Actually spray them with this Hornady One Shot. You see that right there? It's case lube. And once I've got them lubed up, in here they go, boom, I case them, size them, bump the shoulder back, they go back in there. From there, I'll usually bring and get the case that's been done, and I'll take and I'll use this tool, and I'll, well, those are all primed. Let me get one that's not primed for you. And where the primer was in the hole, I like to clean that out, so I run this through. I give it 4 twists, blow it out, and it's usually pretty shiny in there. And sometimes after shooting them for me so far, I've shot 5 times and haven't had to trim one yet. But the brass, when it goes through the explosion of firing, the brass grows lengthways and it grows around the neck and the shoulder. The compression, and that's why your inside of your gun is chambered. It's actually shaped like this. It has that same outline in there, and your casings go up, and that's what makes them caliber specific, okay? Well, that grows from the pressure. And sometimes it gets too long and it goes beyond the specs, SAMI specs we call it, or it's just basic specs for each caliber. So we have a tool that we call a case trimming tool. And what this is you put your case in there and you set your dimension, you loosen this up and slide this in and out and lock it in. And then this trims the thing back to size, and when you're done, you pull your case out, and now you've got a properly sized case. Well, what that'll do sometimes is it'll leave some burrs in there, so we got a deburring tool where we go in and we clean up the inside. See, this cleans up the inside of the case, and then we got another one that cleans up the outside and just takes those sharp edges off, and then we have a ready to shoot round. Make sure I'm getting them all put back in where I had, excuse me, for you. All right, so those are the case prep tools that I'm using right there. Once I've got it resized, I then put it back in the tumbler because I want to get the oil I sprayed on it off. Tumble it for maybe another hour, sometimes only 30 minutes. Doesn't take long. Then I bring the cases back out, and I've got to put a new primer in them. They don't have a primer. And I just bought this little handy dandy tool, and it puts the primers, and everything is, specific in the caliber specific, primer specific. And you just simply put it in and squeeze the trigger. What you end up with is a primed case. And then it goes back in the tray. And it is ready for the next step, which now is going to be to put the powder in it. And so for my powder, I've got a nice Hornady scale. And you just type in on here the amount of powder that you want. And I've got this set for 89 grains, which is for my 300 rum. And then it automatically just starts discharging. And it will put the exact amount. If by some reason it goes over, it gives you a blue beep alarm and lets you know you went over, and you just pour it back in, and you hit and it's going to go over because I got it on normal instead of slow, which means it's going way too fast. So what I got to do is just slow this thing down, and now it should give me right at 89. It takes longer, but this will automatically dispense the right amount of powder. No matter what it does here, I'll show you how I put it in just so we aren't here all night. This is probably not the best powder dispenser, though I think it's better than these systems where you just put your case down here at the bottom and it gives you a load. Those are really inaccurate, and a lot of people will then use a trickle charger, and they'll just trickle in some powder that comes out the tube like it is here. Yeah, see, it went over again. So nevertheless, we've got the powder that we want. We'll say we bring it over here. Remember, we've got the brass cleaned, deprimed, primed, and recleaned and sized. And now all we got to do is pour the powder into the case. And now the case is filled, and it is ready. It is ready for what? Well, it's ready for a bullet. So we will take a bullet of our choice, and depending on what you've got, and we will put the bullet in there. And now we go to another step, in the press area, where we will take this die out. We will put this die in, which is called a seating die, and this one has a micrometer built in, so I can fine-tune how far in this bullet is seated down in. And that is determined by how much distance the bore of your gun, the chamber of your gun, will allow. We discover that using this. It's called a Hornady headspace gauge, or an overall length gauge. And you can buy a case that is done in your caliber. What they do is they punch out the thread, they tap and drill it, and this is one that comes from Hornady, and this is the 300 Win Mag. They do a great job. But I wanted one that was actually shot through my rifle, because then I get a custom fit around the shoulder and the neck and right here. Because remember, this all expands when it's shot, right? So it is fire formed to your caliber. And so to me, that's important. Again, I'm not shooting for money, I'm not shooting for trophies or awards, but I do want the most precise round I can get to some extent. Not into competition, but I like to shoot 1,200-1,500 yards. And if I do take an animal at 1,000 yards or 1,500 yards, depending on the caliber I'm shooting, and again, these are 300 RUM, and they're very capable of doing that, I want to make sure that I'm being as ethical as I can with the animal, so I want everything to be right. So I drilled and tapped my own, and get the camera to focus. And you run this up in the chamber of the gun with a bullet in it. And this bullet, if you can see, this bullet slides in and out. See that? Slides in and out. So you set it up there, and you take the bolt out of your gun, and you run this through the back of the receiver all the way up, okay? And then it's got this little gray sliding thing right here. See that? It's a great, and it goes in and out, and then you lock it down with this screw. Well, you take and you run this up. Wow, the camera's having a hard time keeping up focusing. Wow, come on, camera. Sorry, folks. My granddaughter says this is why I don't have any views. My videos are terrible. Perhaps she's right. I always think it's just my content. But anyways, and then so you run this up in, and you actually push this bullet all the way out until it engages with the rifling of the barrel. Now that's the maximum overall length, or the cartridge overall length. They call it the coal that you can get. And then you lock down this screw, and now this bullet can't go back in any farther, and you bring it out, and you take your calipers, and you actually measure, and you zero out your calipers and all that, and you measure this distance. You measure what that is, and that gives you overall length of the whole case. Why is that important? Because the magazines on your guns only allow so long of a rifle. Like on my 300 RUM, I would like to put a longer case in it, but I can't because it won't fit in the magazine. But like on a 30-06 or 6.5 Creedmoor, 270, a 280, a 30, whatever else, you can go pretty much as long as what you want. So I use what's called a base to ogive dimension, where it's the part of the bullet right in this area where it comes and it starts to taper back, because that's what actually engages up in the lands. It's not the tip. The tip goes up in, but it's the fattest part of the bullet, the ogive or ogive, and that's the dimension you want. And then you set your bullet depth height to that, or actually you set it back like 10 thousandths of an inch, 20 thousandths of an inch. Unfortunately, on my 300 rounds, I have to go back like almost 100 thousandths of an inch because the bullets are so big they just don't fit in the magazine. But the shoot's fine. But other bullets. So you definitely need a good set of calipers. I like the digital ones. I've got a dial set, but I really like the digital because I was not a math major, and it's just easier to read 3.981 on here. I guess a guy could get used to the dial calipers. But once you've got your bullet seated, what you end up with is a completed bullet. And I've got 3 different types that I'm testing so far. I'm liking the AccuBond. These are Nosler bullets. These are all Nosler cases, and cases are bumped the same, sized the same, and cut the same length. The only difference is, and they all have the same powder charge. The only difference is the bullet, the actual part that does the damage to the wild game. These are Nosler 210 AccuBonds is what they're called. I really like those. They fly great out of my gun. At 100 yards, I'm down to 0.75, under an inch groups at 100 yards. The good shooters can get that down to a half inch and even more. I'm just not there. I've got some Berger bullets, some VLD, very low drag bullets they call them, and these are, oh, that camera really struggling. Wow. I think it's picking up, trying to focus on something somewhere else, but these are the Berger bullets. They're decent, though they're not the best. My second favorite is the Hornady ELDX, and these are 212 grains. Everything's right at 210 or 212 grains, so the bullets are all the same. And I've loaded up a bunch to do some long-range testing to see which ones will shoot the best. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Bergers just because they didn't show great grouping with my powder charge, with my shoulder bump, and my neck sizing. Now I could probably change some of that to get these to work, but why? When these two are flying, these two are doing right at 3/4, 5/8 to 3/4 size groups. That's great. So I'm not going to play with the Bergers. Some barrels just don't like some bullets. And these bullets will be great, will be the best thing you can shoot out of a different barrel. But for the one that I'm shooting right now, it's either the Hornady ELDXs or the Nosler long-range AccuBonds. So these are set to go out on my next nice day that I get to where I can go out and shoot some stuff. So I thought I would just take time, show you guys just a quick, and again, don't use this as a tutorial. This is just informative for my friends. Actually, it just gives me something to do in some really bad weather out there while all my old friends and family members are out hunting, and I'm stuck here in Utah without anything to hunt. My hunts are over. Elk 3, Marty 0. Deer 1, Marty 1. So, yeah, it wasn't the best of years, but last year was a banner year. I got 2 mule deer and an elk, so still got meat in the freezer. 2 more, I want to quick mention while I'm here, important things. So you got to buy some books so you know what your powder charges are, and they make for every bullet a Berger, a Hornady, a Nosler. Those are the 3 that I'm using. You get the bullet specific book for that so you know what charge. And probably the most important thing on the whole reloader table is your snacks, Planters, nuts and chocolates, and of course white chocolate chips. And then for those of you that want to be healthy, Nature Valley Protein, and of course the Mountain Ops Enduro drink mix will give you a little bit of oomph there. All right. So that's my reloading setup. You'll see what I got here. The table with all my different bullet calibers. Sorry, it's kind of a mess. I was out shooting a couple days ago. My clips for my AR-15 in case the zombies come. My 6.5 Creedmoors, all my different caliber bullets. These are my cleaned and deprimed cases, and I keep notes and everything separate. I think organization is key. I should have mentioned that. Everybody should have a notebook on everything you're doing for every bullet so that you can come back a year from now and repeat it. All my supplies, my bins, my powder, my bullets, everything. So there you have it. Reloading 101. Something like that.